Do you ever feel like your own worst enemy? Like there's a voice inside that's determined to remind you of every flaw? What if that voice isn't who you are, but a pattern, electrical rhythm in the brain that learned to keep you small? Because once upon a time, small meant safe. Your mind was designed for survival, not serenity. It's constantly scanning for danger, cataloging potential rejection, rehearsing the next mistake before it even happens. And the same ancient circuitry that once saved us from predators now triggers at emails left unanswered, missed deadlines, or the fear of not being liked. Here's the twist. Your inner critic is not a flaw in your design. It's a protective mechanism built into your nervous system, a defense code running on outdated software. Once you see it for what it is, you can rewrite it. Because biology isn't destiny, it's dialogue. And your body is always listening to the words you repeat most. The inner critic doesn't arrive as a monster. It sounds like you. It borrows your tone, mimics your reasoning, even uses your memories as evidence. That's why it feels personal, because it's powered by neural recordings of your past. Maybe it started in childhood, the teacher who told you you'd never measure up, the parent whose approval felt conditional, the friend who made a joke that stung a little too much. Each moment left an imprint in your nervous system, a micro-lesson in vigilance, be perfect, or risk losing safety. Over years, those tiny alerts fused into one internal narrator, the critic. It's not malicious, it's efficient. The brain loves efficiency. When you think the same self-defeating thought again and again, neurons build a superhighway to carry it faster. Soon, you don't even need conscious thought. The body remembers it for you. This is why you can wake up feeling heavy before the day even begins. Your nervous system is already anticipating failure. But this conditioning can be softened. Once you recognize the critic's voice as learned language, not absolute truth, you begin to loosen the knot between who you are and what you were taught to believe. Inside your skull lives an orchestra of 86 billion neurons. They fire in patterns, forming loops that define perception itself. And these loops are shaped by repetition and emotion, especially fear. Neuroscientists call it experience-dependent plasticity. What you repeat, you reinforce. When a thought carries strong emotion, the brain tags it as important and fortifies that pathway with myelin, the insulation that speeds transmission. It's why we can instantly recall painful criticism but struggle to remember genuine praise. This isn't self-sabotage, it's evolutionary thrift. Our ancestors who overnoticed threats survived to pass on their genes. The cost is modern hypervigilance, the mind rehearsing rejection to prevent pain. In psychology, it's called negativity bias. In spiritual terms, it's the mind mistaking fear for foresight. Here's the paradox. Belief creates the very biology that confirms it. If you believe you're inadequate, your brain filters the world to prove it. If you believe you're capable, the same system reroutes perception toward evidence of strength. Beliefs sculpt neural tissue. This is the biology of belief, the physical architecture of faith, doubt, and identity. It's not metaphysical poetry. It's measurable synaptic change. And that means the inner critic isn't fixed. It's simply the loudest circuit for now. For centuries, we assumed the adult brain was static, a finished sculpture. But research from the past few decades revealed something radical. The brain is a living clay, reshaped by every new thought and every embodied experience. This is neuroplasticity, the ability to reassign meaning, reroute pathways, and even grow new neurons through focused attention. The moment you observe a negative pattern instead of obeying it, you weaken its dominance. Awareness introduces friction, and friction is the first crack in automaticity. Imagine walking through tall grass. The first trip is rough, but each pass makes the trail smoother. Stop walking it, and nature reclaims the path. Your thoughts work the same way. Every time you refrain from feeding the old "I'm not enough" pathway, you let the weeds of healing grow over it. Novelty supercharges this process. New movement, new language, new music, even rearranging your environment signals the brain that change is safe. When safety is felt, learning ignites. That's why healing often begins the moment you feel curious again. The nervous system relaxes and new circuits take root. You're not fighting your biology. You're collaborating with it. So how do you actually reprogram these deep-rooted patterns? Let's translate neuroscience into daily language your body understands. 1. Cognitive diffusion. When the critic speaks, resist the urge to debate it. Instead, observe it like the weather. I'm noticing the thought that I always fail. That small phrase inserts space between awareness and emotion. Studies show naming a thought moves activity from the amygdala fear center to the prefrontal cortex, logic and regulation. You're literally changing the brain regions steering the moment. 2. Effective labeling. Label your feelings. Say, I feel anxious, or I feel ashamed. The moment language touches sensation, emotional intensity drops. MRI scans reveal a decrease in amygdala activation when emotions are labeled. It's not self-help fluff, it's biochemistry. You're converting raw emotion into organized data your nervous system can process safely. 3. Mindful self-compassion. This is where softness becomes science. Every time you meet pain with kindness, you release oxytocin and endorphins, neurochemicals of safety and connection. That hormonal shift teaches your brain that warmth, not punishment, leads to regulation. Over weeks, self-compassion rewires the default mode network, the region responsible for self-referential thinking. You begin to experience yourself not as a problem to fix, but as a life to nurture. These aren't mental tricks, they're biological interventions. And practiced consistently, they transform the texture of consciousness itself. True rewiring is subtle. It doesn't arrive as a thunderclap revelation. It unfolds through quiet repetition. Neurons require consistency to bond. The nervous system needs proof that change won't threaten survival. So start small. 5 mindful breaths while noticing your posture. A single kind phrase said aloud each morning. A nightly check-in. Did I treat myself like someone I love today? Tiny acts, performed regularly, build the scaffolding of a new self-concept. Over time, you'll notice the pauses widening between trigger and reaction. You'll hear the critic, but it won't echo as loudly. You'll feel tension arise, but it will dissolve faster. That's neuroplasticity in motion, the quiet proof that your biology is learning safety. To sustain it, engineer your environment. Curate what you consume: music, voices, imagery. Surround yourself with symbols of peace, plants, light, scent, stillness. Your brain is constantly mapping context. When your surroundings whisper calm, your nervous system mirrors it. This is where spirituality meets science. Neville Goddard taught that imagination creates reality. Neuroscience now agrees. Mental rehearsal activates the same neural pathways as lived experience. So when you imagine yourself calm, confident, compassionate, your brain doesn't distinguish it from truth. It begins constructing the neural evidence for it. The outer world bends to the beliefs held most deeply in your nervous system. That's not mysticism. That's embodied physics. Energy follows attention, and attention rewires matter. Reprogramming isn't just thought work, it's full-body participation. Notice how belief feels in the body. When you repeat, I'm safe, let your shoulders drop. When you affirm, I'm capable, let breath expand your chest. The nervous system learns through sensation, not sentences. Every feeling of safety deposits biological evidence that life can be trusted. With enough deposits, fear loses interest in controlling you. Soon, the critic's monologue fades into background static. What takes its place isn't silence, it's guidance. A quieter, wiser signal that nudges rather than scolds, protects without paralyzing. You'll begin to sense that the old harshness was never moral failure. It was misfired protection. Once your body feels safe, the mind stops shouting. That's when creativity, intimacy, and purpose return. They require a regulated nervous system to thrive. So the next time that inner voice surfaces, don't fight it. Listen, thank it for trying to keep you safe. Then gently remind it, we're not in danger anymore. Each time you do, you download peace into your biology. Change doesn't happen because we finally convince ourselves we're good enough. It happens when our bodies finally believe it. Every breath of awareness, every act of gentleness, every moment you choose curiosity over criticism is a microscopic rewiring of the nervous system that once held you hostage. Your inner critic was never the enemy. It was an outdated guardian, guarding a version of you that no longer needs protection. Now you're the one holding the code. And when you change the code, you don't just quiet the noise inside your head. You alter the frequency of your entire life. The whisper becomes different. It says, softly and clearly, I'm safe now. I can grow. I'm free.